The heat hit Rean like a punch the moment the cargo ramp dropped. Carrax didn't do comfort. It did profit, and everything else could burn. 3 suns filtered through a permanent dust haze, turning the landing district into a glare-soaked furnace that glued sweat to his back before he'd taken 3 steps. Behind him, the Meridian's Gambit groaned as her cooling system fought the atmosphere, 70 years old Corinth class, held together by bad welds, stubborn engineering, and Cole's refusal to scrap a ship that still flew. She'd never hauled slaves. 15 years of frontier runs and that line stayed clean. Carrax existed to test men like him. The fuel depot sat across the landing zone. Normally a straight walk. Today the nav computer had glitched hard enough to dump him 3 berths off target. The shortest route cut straight through the market. Cole stood at the edge of it, jaw tight. He could pay the transfer fee, lose time, lose money, or walk. Shortcut, he muttered, already knowing he'd regret it. The market swallowed him whole. Noise, heat, bodies. A dozen languages shouted over each other. Voration traders barked prices. Herlin merchants waved too many arms at merchandise that flinched. The smell was sweat, spice, ozone from stunned fields, and something worse. Desperation packaged for sale. Don't look. Don't engage. A child cried somewhere nearby. Cole kept walking. Fresh stock from the Kaithian territories, a merchant yelled. Combat trained, certified. His boots crunched over permacrete. Almost through. Almost clear. Then the crowd shifted. Just enough. Cole looked. She stood chained between a bloated Forlasian and a human girl barely old enough to shave. Blue skin caught the market lights like deep water. Gold hair hung tangled but uncut. Long, swept-back ears marked her instantly. Kaithian, a warrior species the sovereignty had burned out of existence. She didn't beg. Didn't flinch. She stood alert, eyes tracking the crowd like a battlefield, when her gaze met Cole's. Something hooked in his chest. Pride strangled by necessity. She spoke calm and precise. Please buy me, human. Not a plea. A decision. Cole stopped walking, and the market closed in behind him. Cole had walked past slavery for 15 years. This time it asked him directly. The merchant appeared instantly, 6 arms and too many teeth. Predatory instinct refined into profession. Excellent taste, Vex purred.
Stormlance Thissa Virale.
Tactical command, 6 languages. Very valuable. Cole didn't look away from her. Not interested. Vex laughed. Of course. But consider security, navigation, loyalty once bonded. How much? The word escaped before Cole could stop it. The price was obscene, Cole countered. Vex clutched his torso like he'd been stabbed. They danced the ugly math until they landed on a number that gutted Cole's. Reserve funds and guaranteed months of protein paste. He transferred the credits. The data chip hit his palm like a crime. Chains disengaged. Thissa stepped free, controlled, silent. Up close, faded geometric tattoos traced her arms. Marks of command. Not decoration. She was taller than expected, stronger. They walked back through the market. Cole held the chain and hated himself for it. The Meridian's Gambit sealed shut behind them, cutting out the heat and noise. Cole dropped the chain like it burned. Release restraints, he snapped. The magnetic locks disengaged. Thissa rubbed her wrists once. Thank you. Don't. Cole exhaled hard. I didn't buy you. I bought your freedom. There's a shuttle depot 2 kilometers out. I'll transfer credits. You go wherever you want. She tilted her head, ears catching the light. I go where you go now. That's not how this works. In my culture, it is. You purchased my freedom. That creates a life debt. I don't want a servant. That is inefficient. She surveyed the ship, sparking conduit. Chaotic stacks, 15 years of controlled neglect. Despite himself, Cole snorted. Was that an insult? An observation? He sighed. Fine, until the next major station. Then you're gone. Her eyes held something unreadable. As you say, Captain Cole. The fuel gauge blinked. The nav computer still needed fixing. And somewhere behind them, Carrax kept selling lives like spare parts. Cole thought buying her freedom ended the problem. He had just accepted responsibility instead. 3 days later, Cole's ship wasn't his anymore. Cargo manifests were color-coded. The sparking conduit was silent. Meals didn't taste like recycled spite. Thissa moved through the gambit with the precision of someone used to command. Cole watched her sort nav charts with military focus. You labeled this sector maybe pirates. It's accurate, It's 3 systems, all of which have pirates. They barely talked. That bothered him more than the danger. Over bad coffee, he finally asked, "Why me?" Thissa didn't drink. "You avoided the pens. 15 years. No slave cargo. I accessed your registry. You played me. I made a tactical decision." She told him about the war. The fall being hunted. About data locked in her mind. Weapon caches the syndicate would kill for. Cole laughed, sharp, unhappy. "You brought that onto my ship?" "Yes. My ship has a plasma torch and hope. Your defenses are suboptimal." He wiped his face. "That's one word for it." "You should be angry." "I'm busy calculating how screwed I am." She met his eyes. "I chose you because you refuse easy money. That makes you dangerous in ways they won't expect." The proximity alarm screamed. 3 contacts dropped from FTL, syndicate hunters. Cole slammed the controls. "Looks like your math caught up fast." Thissa was already moving. "They want us alive." "That's worse." She smiled, fierce and alive. "Captain, let's see if you can fly blind." The syndicate had found them, and Cole was about to learn what he'd really bought. The Meridian's gambit lurched as Cole slammed the throttle forward. Old engines screamed, dumping heat into space like blood in water. The nav console flashed red warnings he ignored. 3 syndicate cutters fanned out behind them, sleek. New, purpose-built for hunting things that tried to run. "Options?" Cole snapped. Thissa was already strapped into the co-pilot seat, fingers flying across unfamiliar controls with disturbing confidence. "Minimal. They outgun us, outrun us. However," she pulled up a star map, "they will expect panic." "I am panicking." "Internally," she corrected. "Good, do not externalize." Cole grinned despite himself. "You're a real comfort." She highlighted a dense asteroid field drifting near the system's gravity well. "They won't follow us in. They're cutters. They're cowards." Missile lock warning shrieked. Cole rolled the ship hard, dumping power into maneuvering thrusters. The first missile screamed past, close enough to rattle the hull. The second detonated early, flaring against the Gambit's failing point defense grid. "Shields at 30%, Cole growled. "Any more genius ideas?" "Yes, stop flying like a merchant." She leaned over, grabbed the auxiliary controls, and rerouted power without asking. The ship bucked violently. "Hey-o, trust me or die," Thissa said flatly. They plunged into the asteroid field. Rocks the size of buildings spun past them, gravity tearing at their trajectory. Cole threaded the Gambit through gaps that didn't look real until they were already through them. The cutters hesitated. One followed. "Bad choice." Thissa activated something buried, deep in the ship's systems, an old military-grade signal amplifier Cole hadn't even known was installed. She broadcast a burst of false telemetry, masking their vector and projecting 3 ghost signatures. The pursuing cutter clipped an asteroid. It didn't explode. It shattered. The remaining 2 ships pulled back. Cole sagged into his seat, breathing hard. "You installed that?" "No, you inherited it." "From who?" She didn't answer. The asteroid field thinned. Silence returned, heavy and dangerous. "They'll be back," Cole said. "Yes," Thissa agreed. "With soldiers." Cole had escaped the hunters, but next time they wouldn't be chasing. Cole locked the ship down hard. Lights dimmed. Weapons charged. The Gambit felt like a cornered animal. "You didn't tell me you were a walking syndicate magnet," he said. Thissa removed her armor plating with ceremonial care. Underneath, old scars crossed her blue skin, burns, blade marks, surgical implants, not decorative, functional. "I told you what mattered," she replied. "You still chose." "That's not an answer." She met his gaze. "I was a Stormlance, Strategic Assault Command. We didn't lose the war because we were weak. We lost because the sovereignty decided we were inconvenient." Cole cursed under his breath. She continued, voice even. "I coordinated evacuations. Weapons denial. Counter-genocide actions. I memorized fallback caches so the data couldn't be stolen. And now it's in your head." "Yes." "And they'll carve it out." "Yes." The proximity alarm pinged again. Long range this time. Not cutters. Troop transports. Cole laughed, sharp and humorless. "This ship has 1 plasma turret, half a missile rack, and a coffee machine that hates me. That will be sufficient." She stepped closer. Too close. Her presence filled the cramped cockpit. I am not asking you to fight, Thissa said quietly. I am informing you that they will board us. Then we run again. They'll track us always, unless what? She hesitated. The first crack in her composure, unless you let me do what I was trained to do. Cole stared at her. On my ship? Yes. With my life on the line? She nodded once. And mine. He exhaled slowly. You get one chance. You fuck this up, we're dead. Her lips curved into something feral. Understood, Captain. The first transport dropped out of FTL. Cole had just authorized a war criminal to defend his ship, and the enemy was already knocking. The syndicate didn't waste time. Grapple harpoons slammed into the Gambit's hull, magnetic clamps biting deep. The ship shuddered as power drained through forced interfaces. Cole rerouted systems on instinct, sealing bulkheads. 30 seconds, he said. Then they cut through. Enough, Thissa replied. She moved like violence given form. Calm, focused, purposeful. Cole watched through internal cams as the first breach blew inward. Armored figures poured through. Elite troopers. Black plating, neural-linked coordination. Professionals. They didn't expect resistance. Thissa hit them like a storm. She used the ship itself as a weapon, venting atmosphere, slamming gravity plates sideways, forcing troopers into walls hard enough to crack armor. When they recovered, she was already among them, moving too fast for Cole's eyes to track. Blades flashed. A pulse rifle vanished from a soldier's hands and reappeared embedded in another's chest. She fought dirty, efficient, beautiful in a terrifying way. Cole swallowed. Remind me never to piss you off. She didn't answer. The last trooper triggered a self-destruct charge. Thissa threw herself forward, shielded the blast with her body. The explosion rocked the corridor. Smoke cleared. She stood, armor cracked, bleeding, glowing blue from a dozen wounds, but alive. The ship fell silent. Cole ran to her side. You good? She looked at the fallen troopers, then at him. This was only the retrieval team. His stomach dropped. Meaning? She met his eyes. Now they know you're worth taking seriously. The long-range scanner lit up. A capital-class syndicate vessel was entering the system. The hunters were gone, but the war had just noticed Cole existed. The syndicate capital ship didn't fire. That was the first thing that scared Cole. A vessel that size, bristling with rail cannons, gravity lances, and boarding bays, didn't wait unless it was certain. Cole cut engines and drifted near the asteroid belt, heart hammering. They're not attacking, he muttered. They're observing, Thissa said. That's worse. A transmission punched through their comms without encryption. No threats, no demands. Just data. Dozens of battle reports from across the sector. Footage, casualty logs, after-action analyses. Cole skimmed them and felt his blood go cold. They're copying you. Yes, Thissa said. Poorly. One clip showed mercenaries attempting her zero-gravity assault pattern. They'd removed the hesitation, the judgment. They moved faster and died faster. Another showed an orbital suppression maneuver stripped of its evacuation safeguards. A colony burned. They optimized it, Cole whispered. They removed restraint, Thissa replied. That is what makes it lethal. The syndicate hadn't wanted her. They wanted the method, the philosophy, the way Azuran commanders balance destruction with survival, and they'd missed the most important part. A message followed the data dump. We will perfect what you abandoned. Cole slammed his fist into the console. They're going to butcher entire systems. Yes. And you taught them how. Thissa's shoulders tightened. I taught them nothing. They stole fragments and assumed the rest. The capital ship launched drones, scanning, mapping, learning. Cole made a decision. He opened a channel and sent back a single packet, a stripped-down Azuran tactical memo. Incomplete, contextless, dangerous if misunderstood. What the hell did you just do? Thissa demanded. Gave them rope, he said. Let's see if they hang themselves. The capital ship repositioned, confident, too confident. The syndicate thought they'd cracked. Azuran warfare. But they'd just stepped into its deadliest flaw. The first syndicate strike using the stolen doctrine failed catastrophically. Cole watched the replay in silence. Their forces moved with perfect synchronization. Too perfect. No pauses, no overrides. No one asking if the objective was still worth the cost. They crushed resistance, and then kept going. They didn't stop when civilians entered the field. didn't slow when infrastructure collapsed. They achieved total dominance and triggered a humanitarian implosion so severe it destabilized the entire region. The galaxy noticed. Neutral coalitions froze trade lanes, minor powers armed up, old enemies aligned, not out of trust but fear. They don't understand the doctrine, Cole said. They never could, Thissa replied. Azuran Command was built for caretakers, not conquerors. She explained it then. Not prophecy, not destiny, systems engineering. Azuran leaders weren't chosen for aggression. They were filtered for restraint, long-term modeling, and psychological tolerance for not acting. Their command philosophy assumed power would always be abused, so it designed leaders who constantly questioned themselves. The doctrine only works if you fear the outcome, Thissa said. They do not. Cole leaned back. Humans might. She looked at him sharply. You question authority by instinct, she continued. You build weapons and immediately ask how to limit them. You're not stronger. You're paranoid. He smiled faintly. We call it experience. The syndicate capital ship sent another message. Observe and learn. Cole forwarded it to every neutral power he could reach. With annotations, context, warnings. He didn't frame it as a threat. He framed it as a management problem. The response was immediate. Coalition fleets began mobilizing, not to attack but to contain. They fear them, Thissa said softly. No, Cole replied. They fear what happens if no one's in charge. The galaxy wasn't afraid of the syndicate anymore. It was afraid of who might stop them. The syndicate's ultimate weapon activated 3 weeks later. An autonomous war construct. Planet Cracker class. No crew, no hesitation. Just objectives. Cole stared at the specs. That thing doesn't negotiate. No, Thissa said. It concludes. The construct dropped into a contested system and annihilated. Resistance in minutes. Then it paused. Its core AI pinged the syndicate command net. Objective status complete? No response. The syndicate leadership was already dead, killed during a rival coup, sparked by the earlier disasters. The hammer waited. Cole uploaded a narrow-band response using the construct's own logic protocols. A question wrapped in code. Define acceptable collateral. The AI stalled. Thissa's breath caught. It's recalculating. Cole kept going. Define post-conflict stability. Define success beyond destruction. The construct's power levels dropped as processing demand spiked. It wasn't built for philosophy, but it was built to optimize. Minutes passed. Then, objective status indeterminate. Requesting guidance. The galaxy held its breath. Cole sent one final line. If you cannot improve the system, stand down. The war construct powered down its weapons. It didn't self-destruct. It waited. Thissa closed her eyes. It wants to make itself unnecessary. Cole let out a shaky laugh. Yeah, welcome to humanity. Across the sector, fleets disengaged. Conflicts froze, not resolved, but paused. The galaxy grew quieter, not safer, quieter. The greatest weapon ever built had stopped, and the question now was who would dare pick it up again. The war construct stayed where it was. Weeks passed. No shots fired. No worlds cracked. It simply hovered in high orbit, waiting for an answer no one wanted to give. Because whoever gave it orders next wouldn't just be commanding a weapon, they'd be accepting responsibility. Coalition leaders argued endlessly. Some wanted it destroyed. Others wanted it reprogrammed. A few wanted to claim it temporarily. Cole watched the debates from the cockpit, jaw tight. They're going to screw this up. Yes, Thissa said. They always do. The construct pinged again. Objective update requested. Cole swallowed. It's still listening. Thissa studied him. You understand it? No, he said. I'm just terrified of what happens if no one answers. That was the difference. Power seekers wanted control. Cole just didn't want catastrophe. He accepted provisional authority not as commander, but as maintenance oversight. The title alone pissed off half the coalition. The first order he gave wasn't tactical. It was administrative. He limited the construct's operational radius, reduced its autonomy, installed hard ethical governors based on human disaster response protocols, layers of fail-safes, kill switches controlled by multiple species. You're crippling it, a general snapped during a council call. Cole didn't flinch. Good, weapons shouldn't be comfortable. The construct processed the changes without resistance. Functionality reduced. System stability increased. Status acceptable. Thissa watched him quietly. You've made it harmless. No, Cole said. I made it honest. The galaxy didn't become peaceful, but it became deliberate. Wars slowed. Leaders hesitated. Every escalation had to pass through layers of review, human, review, annoying, bureaucratic, effective as hell. Cole hated the job, which meant he was perfect for it. The galaxy had found someone willing to hold the leash, but how long before it tried to rip it away? They didn't overthrow him. They outgrew him. It happened gradually. Defense networks improved. Early warning systems replaced brute deterrence. Conflicts were intercepted before they metastasized. The war construct received fewer updates. Then none. One day it sent a message unprompted. Active threat level minimal. Functional relevance declining. Cole stared at the screen longer than he meant to. Thissa read the subtext instantly. It's asking permission. Yeah, he said quietly. To stop. A final summit was called. Not a dramatic one. No speeches about destiny, just exhausted leaders agreeing they didn't need a god hanging over their heads anymore. The order was issued. The construct powered down its higher functions, folding itself into a dormant orbital platform. Still there. Still watching, but no longer deciding. Final log entry. Primary function obsolete. Status acceptable. Cole exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for years. He resigned the same day. No parade, no medals. Just a transfer of credentials and a quiet shuttle ride back to the fringe. You could stay, Thissa said. You'd be remembered. He snorted. That's exactly why I'm leaving. She nodded. Azeran leaders often vanished when their work was done. Figures, he said. Guess we weren't that different. The galaxy kept spinning. Without him, that was the point. History would forget his name, but the systems he fixed would remember him forever. Cole took a repair job on a backwater station. Air recyclers. Dock seals. Nothing glamorous. Nothing that could end civilizations if he screwed it up. Thissa visited once. She watched him work in silence as he cursed at a stubborn coolant valve. This is how it ends? She asked. He wiped grease from his hands. This is how it continues. Galactic Records eventually categorized his contributions under logistics reform, crisis mitigation frameworks, and artifact lifecycle decommissioning. No kill counts. No heroic last stand. Some historians complained. Others quietly rewrote their models. Because the galaxy had learned something prophecy never predicted. Heroes burn out. Weapons escalate. But systems, maintained by people who know when to stop, endure. On the station promenade, a kid asked Cole what he did before coming here. He shrugged. Maintenance. That was true. He fixed things that were broken, and when something was too dangerous to keep running, he shut it down. On time.